Welcome to the world of Q&A, sir, where like the past and the present and the future of gaming all converge and we enjoy everything. I'm so sorry that I missed everybody last week, but I can see loads of you have come straight back in, turned up. Tony's lurking, that's fine, Tony, that's for the best. Space Denizen, Patrick, Isla, Chris Blackburn, Kratos is here. Loads of you have been waiting for me. I'm 7 minutes late. Joe as well, and Wayne, of course. Painful Discourse. Whoa, loads of people. I didn't even need to start this. Patrick is straight in there with a very easy identification of the background. Yes, it is Fallout 4. It is right from the start of Fallout 4. I installed the pancake version of Fallout 4 just to go create character, walk here, record background, and then straight away uninstalled it. Because obviously if I'm going to play Fallout 4, I would play it in virtual reality. But virtual reality is much harder to capture. So how are we all? That's question one. How is everyone doing? Patrick's on top of the world because he's already scored a point, and it will be... shall I come off of top chat? Or no, I'm going to take the points for reminding myself that I'm on top chat. So there's just the OST available and nobody will be getting it. Space Denizen, you've been playing Resident Evil 8 VR and fuck, it's crazy. Space Denizen, did you play 7 in VR? Where are you in the standings? Patrick, I'll need to rewatch the previous 37 episodes and kind of do a count up at some point. I guess the sooner I do that, the less painful it will be. But I'm going to say you're pretty high. Isla's going to go back and count. Yeah, that's fine. Like, most of them have run for about, I don't know, 2 hours each on average, I would say. So you can do that. Space Denizen, you've played 2, 3, and 7 in VR. Are you playing 8 on the PlayStation or are you playing the modded PC one? Isla, we can share 24. Oh, no. No. I don't want to really watch myself. You know how I hate to actually watch myself. Let's be professional. This show is sponsored by Game On Daily. It's a website, a platform, an aggregation site. You can find content creators. You can keep up with the latest gaming news. It's brilliant and it's going to get better over time. Fingers crossed if we can get that business moving in the right direction, but we are trying. And anyone just using that site counts as great support for us. It is a big help. That is Game On Daily. It is the sponsor. It is us. So I missed last week, and in the interim, I've completely forgotten how this show works. That's not entirely true. I've done something new for today's show. So we've got the usual format. If you've been here before, which I think all of you have, then you know that we talk about what we've been playing, talk about a few topics, and I have bothered to line some topics up this week. And then at the end of it, we have some nice formal Q&A where any questions that have been submitted into the YouTube Q&A box, we'll address them one at a time and make sure they all get covered. But in addition to that, today, if anyone's feeling bold and brave and wants to have a voice, I have set things up so that you can have, let's say, 60 seconds to fire off a question live from Discord. And this is new, this is experimental, and I haven't done any testing whatsoever. Is the reason that I started late today is I was dicking around trying to set that up and get it working. But I think it will work. So if anyone is interested in popping up live, either by voice or by camera, then join the Game On Daily Discord server. Stick yourself in the Q&A channel. There's a little voice channel called The Waiting Room. If you're sitting there, I can drag you into the stream and you can talk to the world. Ask me your questions, ask them your questions. Say whatever you want to say. Please be dressed. I will be able to see if you're not before putting you on the stream, so don't do anything ridiculous. Yes, this is news even to Isla because it was very spontaneous. It was a thing that I just decided actually, yeah, I'm going to set that up. So Patrick, you're in the Game On Daily server and you didn't even notice me sneak those new channels in there. It was only like 20 minutes ago or so. Isla, you don't need to get dressed. There is the option to not have a camera at all and just pop in with some voice. I don't have a Discord link. I don't really understand Discord or how it works, but Isla, if you could, in your own time, at your leisure, stick a Discord link for the Game On Daily server into chat, then anybody can join it and hopefully you'll see the channel on the left. I've not actually played around with Discord on the Xbox or the PlayStation, but you might even be able to do it from your console. Discord is like, it's got a shitty interface as far as I'm concerned, so it's bad enough trying to do it from your PC or your phone, but if you fancy having a crack at it on your console, I think theoretically it is possible. But I say I'm not doing those right at the start, so you can sit in the waiting room for as long as you like. You can talk to each other in the waiting room if you want. Oh, I didn't think that through. The waiting room is just a voice channel. Whatever, it's fine. We'll figure it out as we go. Someone would be able to chat through console. Yeah, you can definitely, like, there are ways to join servers, but I don't think it's very easy to navigate and find them in the first place. Anyway, options are there, and we'll see. I don't know if anyone's going to take it up. I don't know if we'll have any Discord conversations today. But it's a new feature, right? AJH, being a boomer, I'm being a boomer, even though I'm around the same age as you. I'm going to say, fuck you, sir. I'm not being a boomer. Discord's just got a horrible interface. I use it a bit, but it's a mess. Anyway, welcome AJH and JJ, all the initials coming in. Let's talk about games for a bit, shall we? Oh, Space Denizen, you can't do anything from the PlayStation 5 for Discord yet. Have they not rolled that out? Is it beta over there at the moment, or Insider Ring, or whatever they want to call it? I thought it had gone live on PlayStation, but I don't use these things. Patrick, take that 2 away. You just be old by yourself. I'm still clinging to my youth quite doggedly, refusing to acknowledge anything else. I've been playing loads of games because it's been 2 weeks. I didn't do last week's. Oh no, I'm ill again. Look what you've done. I am old. I'm going to have some coffee. So I've played 2 weeks worth of games, which is less than I would like, but I'm going to run through them anyway. It's quite a long list of games to talk about. But of course, the question is open for all of you as well. So tell me what you've been playing. Space Denizen's on Resident Evil 8 VR, which... See, I've not played Resident Evil 8 at all. I understand from other people that it's a lot more action-packed than 7 was. I'm going to say I'm halfway through Resident Evil 7. I think I'm actually probably about 10 minutes into it, and it's just taken me a very long time because I'm on my treadmill being silly. But yeah. I don't know, what have I been playing? Horizon, Call of the Mountain. So I've still got the PlayStation VR. It may be the reason that I got a terrible eye infection in the middle of the week, or it may not. It's really good. It's not very well rated in terms of Metacritic and reviews and all sorts, but that's an interesting topic in itself. So Horizon, Call of the Mountain is Sony's like flagship, show everybody what the headset can do experience, and it's relatively safe in that it won't make most people sick. The traversal and the movements are all fairly simple. It's very linear. You can't stray off path. You can't explore the open world. But it is pretty well polished, well accomplished, high quality virtual reality game. Certainly visually it's pretty stunning, and it's like 7s and 8s on Metacritic. But that raises an interesting question on why, like how and why are virtual reality games reviewed using like the same kind of metrics and knowledge of pancake games? Because Horizon Call of the Mountain gets a 7, but it's being compared to big pancake games like an Elden Ring or something. And if you stuck Elden Ring in a virtual reality headset and did nothing to transition it into a different kind of experience, it wouldn't be a better virtual reality game than Horizon is. But at the same time, when you're looking at a virtual reality game and you've seen the evolution of pancake games, you've seen the scope of them, and you've seen the scale, and you've seen what they can do, you kind of know what's missing from it. So it's not entirely unfair. Like Joe's just mentioned Gran Turismo 7, which is a really good example, because Gran Turismo 7 is exactly the same game in virtual reality as it is on a pancake game, but I'd give it like 18 points more out of 10 than I'd give the pancake version. The pancake version not very good, the virtual reality version is brilliant. And it's very, very difficult to see. Like, they almost need their own scale. Reviews are a mess anyway. Review scores are a mess across the board. How do you compare Death's Door to Elden Ring to Horizon Call of the Mountain? You don't. Scores and numbers are stupid. Their experiences and words are more important. But for me, I couldn't imagine not recommending Horizon Call of the Mountain. For all of its flaws, and it does have flaws, it is linear, it is very restrictive, the combat could definitely be better, but for all of its flaws, it is a brilliant experience that is worth trying. Yeah. I've also been playing. Stop playing Guess My Age. Why don't you guess my height instead? Guess my height. Leave my age alone. I been playing Horizon Forbidden West as well, so I'm very, very slowly working my way through Horizon Forbidden West, and then I like to go between the two Horizon games. It's just nice to compare and contrast what they do well and what they do badly. 5'2". No. No. I've been playing both Horizon games, and I know a lot of people didn't like Forbidden West, but I actually do really enjoy it. The story still hasn't properly gripped me, but I don't know, I was fighting a Thunderjaw in that, and it was good combat. It was good fun ripping the pieces off the big dinosaurs and flicking off the components that you want to knock off, take out its weapons, things like that, expose the weak points. This is a nice accomplished combat system, and it looks good. So I'm going to keep playing Horizon Forbidden West. It's going to take me freaking ages, but maybe if I try, I'll get it finished before the Burning Shores expansion comes out. Oh, I bet there's a trailer for Burning Shores. I could put a trailer up. Haven't had one of those yet. How do you find the Discord? Isla popped a link in there somewhere a little bit earlier. Patrick, if I've given you the answer, then it's cheating. And that's bloody outrageous. You get no points for cheating. If you just guessed, if you'd said, I reckon maybe 6'4", you'd be well in the lead on points, but no, you had to go and disqualify yourself. Amateur cheating. Horizon Forbidden West, Burning Shores, trailer coming soon. Straight from How to Prepare, no, go away. Pre-order trailer. Who pre-ordered downloadable content, eh? Wild. Anyway, Burning Shores. Yes, Patrick, you lost. You disqualified for yourself for the 1 point. For admitting that I told you the answer previously, but you get a bonus 10 points for integrity, because I'm a big fan of people being honest and telling the truth and just being good people. So Patrick, you stormed into the lead with extreme honesty, integrity. So Horizon Forbidden West Burning Shores takes place after the story of Horizon Forbidden West, so I'm going to vaguely look away from this in case it contains spoilers, but it also dropped support for the PlayStation 4, so there's big questions on whether that represents a significant upgrade or not when it comes out, but I think it's only 20 quid or something, so hopefully I'll be giving that a go. Boomer Benz, you had... Oh, wait. Boomer Benz, welcome. There's a name I hadn't seen yet. John Rocks is here. Loads of people turning up. So you had the Atari 2600... It's I never had that. Boba Fett gaming breakfast with me. It's pretty 9:20 and I got a massive glass of wine. If that's breakfast, that's a comfortable life. I'll take it. Painful Discourse looks uninspired. What, the Horizon expansion? I've not paid any attention to what it actually contains and where the story's going to go, because obviously if it takes place after the main campaign and I haven't seen that through yet, investigating the story of the Burning Shores would be stupid. AJH, I'm quite tall. Gaz is on the shorter side of human beings. Yes. Which is quite funny. It's 8:30 AM where you are. Where are you then? Where does that make you? It's 13 hours. Forward, are you in Australia? It's got to be forwards, I reckon, rather than backwards. It's not far enough backwards for it to be 8:30. Patrick, Horizon Zero Dawn had Frozen Wilds. That's true. I really liked Horizon Zero Dawn, and I thought Frozen Wilds was terrible. So hopefully it's the reverse or the inverse in that sense as well. Hopefully Burning Shores will be really good. As is a fucking nugget size-wise. Yeah, pretty much. Friday, yeah, so you're ahead. Cool. I understand the world. I know what's going on. What else have I been playing though? I did a bit more Gran Turismo Virtual Reality. I'm not going to talk too much about that because it's just Gran Turismo, and it will be on the side for me to play week on week, and I'll probably forget to mention it. But I also played, this was wild. I don't think many people would guess that I'd played this one unless you have me as a Xbox friend and you saw me doing it. I've been playing Halo Infinite. Why have I been playing Halo Infinite? Why would anybody do that to themselves? I don't know. I thought, hey, Halo Infinite. Some people are enjoying Season 3. I'm going to give it a go. Have we got anybody here that's a big fan of Halo Infinite Season 3 that's jumped back in and is enjoying the game right now? I have played some on one thing and some on the other. You like the new mods? 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 Ah, you broke my voice. Mods for what? Yeah, so I've been playing Halo Infinite, and I played it a bit on... I used to play it on the PC. I prefer that game on the PC mostly, but I thought I'm going to try it on the Xbox. See how it's going. And it's a weird one. The modes that it offered, the top of the list mode was like Big Team Battle Fiesta nonsense, which means it spawns you with a random couple of weapons. That can be anything from like a shitty mangler thing right out to a rocket launcher or whatever else. And then it shifts them on a certain time interval. So you'll be running around with one weapon and all of a sudden you've got something completely different. And it was a bit crap. Not a good mode, but it is just a silly mode thrown in for shits and giggles rather than something serious. But what was really, really weirdly apparent to me... Beta Cypher, welcome, welcome, welcome. What was really weirdly apparent to me with Halo Infinite on console is the level of auto aim. I don't understand. Have games always been like that? Like if I went back and played Halo 2 or even Halo 5, is the auto aim anywhere near as strong as it is in Halo Infinite? This setup is great. Good. I'm glad you're enjoying it. There's more wildness to come. I do try, if I've got time, every week that we do this show, I change the background from some game or another, change the OST. It just adds a little bit of variety, a little bit of a guessing game to keep things entertaining. It takes me way longer than it should, but hey. Joe, you played Season 3 and the stuttering was pretty crazy in 60 frames per second. Was that on Xbox you had stuttering? So I found on console, the auto aim was like wild. It was, I think I finished the game with like 40% accuracy or something, and I'm terrible. I can't aim. I don't play games on console like that. And it was just like you unload the assault rifle into someone at mid-distance and every bullet hits, and it's wild. It's like the assault rifle is massively overpowered on console and quite hard to use on PC. It's weird. I played it, and I played so I played the Fiesta one. I didn't like Fiesta very much, didn't like the random weapons and silliness of it. I tried a normal Big Team Battle just to see what it was like, and the queue time was surprisingly long. It took a good couple of minutes to get in, and one of the problems that Halo Infinite has is because it's also on base Xbox One, every single game takes freaking ages to load. So you go through it's like it estimates a minute wait time to get into the game. Actually takes more like 2 or 3 minutes. So you sit and wait for that, and then it says you found a game. Connecting for the next like 30 seconds, and then it loads the map and just starts doing these scenic shots panning around the map over and over again, and that can go on for freaking ages as well because it's waiting for the Xbox One to load for like the one person in the game that's still on the old console. So everything's really slow, and then it's like, here's your squad of 4, please spend money to customize your Spartan. Like more delays, and then you actually get to play. AJH, keyboard and mouse has the benefit of accuracy and quicker aiming. Yeah, so my question though around, or it's more of it's a criticism or a disagreement around crossplay. Yes, keyboard has many advantages, but I don't think, like, you can compensate by adding more aim assist and trying to help the controller players and trying to balance it out, but then you're fundamentally changing the gameplay for the console players, and that's not great because Halo doesn't play as well as it should. Like, I could be misremembering because I haven't played a Halo game for a long time, but the level of auto aim is like, wow, this is almost playing for me. And if that's necessary in order to play crossplay with PC, I'd rather not play crossplay. Just like tune it for console versus console and make it as good as can be. If you're enabling modes that mean you have to fundamentally change the way that the game feels, that's a mistake to me. And obviously this is only true of like competitive games and things like that, and you could include it in the casual modes if you want, or whatever else. I don't know what the correct answer is. I'm all for crossplay in cooperative and collaborative games, but games where you have to retune the fundamental gameplay to make it fair, it's not worth it. So that was my experience of Halo Infinite. I did then go to play it on the PC, and I think Halo feels better on the PC in general. Like, it is a nice keyboard and mouse game to play, but it's, I don't know, it's strange. You believe pros choose controller for Halo Infinite? That's true, Joe. Statistically, like, the high-end play, and it's very, very difficult for anyone to balance high-end and low-end at the same time, but the crack players that are really good are mostly playing on a controller because the auto-aim is that good. And it's not necessarily bad. Like, if they want to make a game and they don't want aiming to be like the determining factor in winning or losing a battle, they want it to be more strategic, they want you to think more about your positioning and stuff like that, that's not necessarily wrong. That's like a fine approach to making a game, if that's their reason. But if their reason is that they're trying to make it fair to play with PC, then they failed. I will say though, Halo Infinite has really, really good sound. I think that's the singular element that makes it feel good to play. And everyone says Halo Infinite feels good to play when you give it a go. And the thing that really sells it is the sound. You got their sandbox and physics and all of those fun stuff, but everything just sounds so heavy and so good. So I like that. AJH, it's fine if it's not crossplay to reduce aim assist, but when you're against PC, it needs it, as keyboard and mouse has such an advantage. I don't disagree with you at all. Like, that's true. I know keyboard and mouse has a massive advantage in terms of being able to aim quickly and turn quickly and all of those kind of things, but yeah, just don't match them up. If you have to make the game worse, then you've made the game worse for some benefit. There is some benefit. I know that some people will only know a Halo friend that's got a PC and they've got an Xbox and all the rest of it, and you want people to be able to play together. I'm all for that conceptually. Tearing down those barriers is a good thing, but not changing the design, the fundamental way that a game feels. That's silly. You're talking about the Fallout robot entering my room. Yes, Kratos, the Fallout robot will come and go every now and again. If you watch really closely, no, I'm not going to say actually. I don't want to ruin my own work. If it's subtle and hopefully not going to cause a problem. I am going to say, because I kind of said. Mr. Handy, the robot, will every now and again kind of reverse into the room. And when Mr. Handy reverses into the room, the vapor above the tea or coffee or whatever it is might start getting sucked into the cup. It's just weird Fallout behavior. It's perfectly natural. It's just how things go. Nothing to see there. What else, though? We're still on things that I've played. I want to know more about what you've played as well, though. So, Joe, sounds like you're still enjoying Halo Infinite. Do you still play it regularly? Wayne, you've never played any of the Fallout, so you didn't notice. I've played very little Fallout myself. I've played Fallout 4 in VR for a couple of hours before going, Skyrim's better. So I'll put Fallout on the back burner and wait for more mods and things like that and go back to it. Fallout 4 I'm going to play. And every now and again I see screenshots and snippets of like monsters and things that are out in the world that make me think, oh, I should explore further. This is going to be fun. But not until I finish Skyrim, and I'm not going to finish Skyrim until I'm as old as HAH, which is really, really old. Space Denizen with the combo breaker. Yes, the whole conversation between controllers and keyboard and mouse is a thing of the past, because all the best games use motion controllers. It's not a factor. You don't have speed of aiming. You hold a gun and you point it at someone and you shoot. There's no aim assist unless you're playing Pistol Whip. That has aim assist. But yeah, I'm with you, Space Denizen. I really do enjoy shooting a gun. In fact, bollocks, I can't reach it. Just this week, I haven't played it yet, but I have a little gun stock. So Space Denizen, you'll know this. If you play virtual reality games and you're firing two-handed weapons, they're not as intuitive and simple as they should be. It's very, very difficult to aim a two-handed weapon without physically holding a two-handed weapon and keep any kind of consistency or accuracy. So you get gun stocks, which are basically just a frame, like a bar that holds the controllers in place, so that you can use it more like a gun. I've put together a gun stock that I've had for like 5 years. I got it for the first Oculus Rift and never got around to putting it together and using it. But my luck, Oculus, their Quest Pro controllers are exactly the same shape at the base as their first generation touch controller. So I can use my gun stock with my Quest Pro. And I'm going to do that. I'm going to stream some Pavlov and some Contractors and things like that with my basically cheating gun stock and hopefully shoot the crap out of everything. Beta Cypher, what's up there with Kingdom Hearts, Call of Duty and Power Stone? Joe, you're playing Pistol Whip too. It's fantastic. Pistol Whip is my favourite of the rhythm games in VR. It has very generous auto aim. Very generous. Not like, not auto aim, that's the wrong term, but aim assist. You only need to be like shooting vaguely in the direction of your enemies in Pistol Whip and it will help you out. You can disable it if you want to, but it will help you out. It'll make sure you're shooting your targets. But the upside, like the upshot of that, is that you can properly like move and duck and dip and dodge all the bullets and fire like a maniac and properly feel like you're a John Wick kind of character. And it works. It's really, really good. Pistol Whip's fun. And you know, you've been playing it, but I'm a big fan of Pistol Whip. Fallout, Beta Cypher, you prefer Fallout over Skyrim? There's a question everybody must answer. What is your favourite RPG universe? We're going to take... Shall I limit it? I don't really want everyone to just say Mass Effect. We'll do it anyway. Yeah. Favorite RPG universe? Or give me a top 3 if you want. So you've got like the Dragon Ages, the Fallouts, the Elder Scrolls, the Mass Effects, the Witchers, the Divinity games like Baldur's Gate, Diablo, RPGs. Give me your top 3 worlds. So not your top 3 games, but worlds based on like the setting and style and all of that kind of stuff. How complicated they are, how well written they are, how not like Harry Potter they are. You can turn assist off for a big multiplayer. Yes, Space Denizen, but I don't know. I haven't even finished like getting through that game. I'm not too bothered about the scores at the moment. It's just fun to play. Beta Cypher, Kingdom Hearts. Does that count as a world? I've never played the Kingdom Hearts games. I'm aware that they have like a super dedicated following, and from the outside it's really hard to understand why. So you can tell me what it is that makes the Kingdom Hearts game so special. Starfield will be the first one that you like. That's outrageous, Peter. You're banned from playing Starfield until you've learnt to love some other RPGs that have been around for a while. I've got Dragon Age Inquisition installed at the moment. I really like the Dragon Age universe. I know the second game wasn't all that, but the first one was very good. And I was enjoying Dragon Age Inquisition a lot. Apparently the EA store tells me, I got 40 hours into that. And then I got a new PC at some point. This is like a long time ago when the game was fresh. And I went to carry on my Dragon Age Inquisition save and discovered that the EA Origin store didn't actually have cloud saves at that point. Every other platform or PC had them. Every other save file that I was using had them. But Origin, I lost my 40 hours of gameplay. Isla, have you played an RPG? You played Wasteland. That's probably... I don't know if you played any others. That's the only one I'm aware of. There are some like co-op RPGs. I'll play with you. That'll be fun. So Dillian's ranking them Elder Scrolls, Witcher, and Dragon Age, I guess. So you're welcome, by the way, Dylan. So you're very much a high fantasy kind of player. They're all swords and sorcery games, essentially. It's fair enough. Beta Cypher, for worlds, you like school, Persona, Japanese high school? No, unacceptable. You can enjoy the style of those and the game. I guess there's more to it than school, but... And Destiny. Destiny's an interesting choice. Like it was I don't know how well that story has progressed since Destiny 2 came out. But it had some good stuff about it. It had some interesting enemies, even if you did have to dig outside of the game to find out anything about them and the lore in the world. Did XCOM count as an RPG, other than just the tactical bum sex gang? I don't know about that, Peter. I guess you can count it. Does it have a world? It's just aliens in our world, isn't it? Dylan B, you like sci-fi a lot too, but fantasy and magic. Just make the escapism better for me. Yeah, I get torn between them. Like, I really enjoy high fantasy swords and sorcery stuff as well, and then I think of the likes of Mass Effect and the occasional magical scenario like Star Wars is obviously not set as a game, but it's a perfect universe for gaming because it's sci-fi and lasers in a universe where melee combat still makes sense. So it lends itself so well to games, that universe. Final Fantasy number 2. Tony, there is an OST. Don't bother trying to hear it. You've not got a hope in hell of getting what it is. Dark Souls universe. I mean, action RPG is fine. It's still a universe. It's still written as that kind of world. So I'll accept your answer, Painful Discourse. There's another name that I missed. I missed one. Sorry, whoever it was that turned up that I missed. Hey, Berserker This Jordan's here. Sauron Grant, you also are banned from Starfield until you've gone and learnt to appreciate and love some other RPGs. Sonic doesn't count. You're not having Sonic and you're not having Paper Mario. You can be a Sonic fan, but you can't make it your best RPG world. You don't like all the swords and sorcery stuff. You don't have to like all the swords and sorcery stuff. You are missing out on things like The Witcher. Like, there's some very well fleshed out universes that contain and host good storytelling as well. So, but if you don't like swords and you don't like magic, stick to other games. But you still have to play your Mass Effect and, I mean, Fallout if you like your post-apocalypse and Wasteland and all of that stuff. You were good until Cade 6 went down. Spoilers! Yeah. The only reason that you have an Xbox is for the amount of Sonic games you own on it and Fallout. Fair enough. What do you normally play on beta? I don't believe that you only play Sonic and Fallout. So what do you normally play on besides the Xbox? PC, you should play Mass Effect genuinely, as like universes go. It has its dips in storytelling. Namely, the second game kind of throws away some good stuff. But as universes go, it's one of the best there is. You should definitely play that. It's so well fleshed out. Yeah, like Mass Effect. 1 or 3? No, you have to play it from the start. You have to play Mass Effect 1, then 2, then 3. Like, it does follow it. It's a continuation of a story, so. You're not going to get the OST anyway, so I'll turn it up a smidge for you, Tony. It's like a trick one that no one's going to get, so. The remastered trilogy is on Game Pass. The remastered trilogy is on EA Play. So if you've got Game Pass Ultimate or you've got EA Play, then you've got the whole lot on there, yes. It's an awful lot of gaming. You're probably looking at like 300 hours to get through them all if you play fairly thoroughly. But it's on my to-do list. I want to go and play them. I only played each one when it launched many years ago. I haven't got around to because it's such a daunting amount of gameplay, I haven't got around to it. Much as I love it, I haven't got around to replaying it. I'm going to, though. I stream the whole damn thing in one sitting. 300 hours, no toilet breaks. I'm not going to do that. Beta Cypher, you got to beat Hogwarts still and Hi-Fi Rush and Persona 5 Royal, but you usually play Modern Warfare 2 and Battlefield 2042 during the week after work and the story based on the weekend. Oh, that's a nice thing to do, though. Like, I wish I had that nice balance of multiplayer and single player. I yearn for it and I flip from one thing to the other. At the moment, I'm on I have a massive craving to play Western RPGs, like turn-based ones and like smaller ones, not the ones that are not your Witchers and your Mass Effects. I want to play my Larian's games, the Divinity games, or some of the smaller ones that are around. I've got no good examples springing to mind, but I have a craving to play them. And a couple of days ago, I had a craving to play some online stuff, so I went for Halo Infinite, and I constantly, I really feel like this kind of game, and flick between them and never get anywhere on anything. But hell of a kitchen with volume controls under the kitchen table drawer. What you talking about? You never seen an oven before? Oh wait. You've confused me. You've confused me muchly. So I'm gonna forget that I read that one. Have you all heard of a game called Bramble the Mountain King? I have never heard of it. I'm gonna look up a trailer and then everyone will have heard of it. But you played it. Do you like using that cinema screen? I could not. Oh, I did. Oh, I see. Yeah, it looks like I'm playing around behind the cereal box, doesn't it? You're right. Bramble the Mountain King. That's a silly name for a mountain king. Bramble. But the cinema mode on the PlayStation VR2 I'm not a fan. I wouldn't use that myself unless, like, there'll be some circumstances where you just don't have... No, that's the wrong one. That's the secret Discord. Fuck you, Discord. Wait there, everyone. There's a trailer coming. Here we go. So this is Bramble the Mountain King. I don't know. Is the child the Mountain King? Kingdom of Amalur. Is that one of your... Are you shouting that one out as one of your favourite worlds? Was that a blue transition? That was a transition that used Discord's branding colours. Yes, I have different colours for, like... I very rarely use my my console one, but I've got a dark transition for if I'm bringing up... if I'm bringing up, like, Xbox or PlayStation or whatever. I've got the green one to bring up trailers and things. And the blue one is for Discord. Bluey purple. Blurple. You got your toenails, it's no wonder you're tired. You think that the cinema screen is awesome? For me, the cinema screen isn't as good as using a TV, so if I had access to a TV, I would use it. Cinema screen, you can make it nice and big, but the quality is, like, noticeably worse than playing at 4K, to me. It's a novel feature, but it's not one that I'll use. Rares? Oh, I see, AJH, yeah. No, I see. Your Kingdoms of Amalur is a fair example, but I'm quite looking at the, like, top-down turn-based kind of games. Or even, like, the action RPGs. Like, Diablo's obviously got its beta this weekend that I'll have a crack at, but things like Grim Dawn and stuff like that. I want to play things like that, too. TJI. If you could play only one game in September, which would it be? Starfield or Spider-Man 2? As long as I can play the other one in October, then Spider-Man 2. My plan when the two games come out, assuming they come out really close together, is Spider-Man 2 is obviously more of a short and sharp story. It's not going to be, like, tiny, but at most, I don't know, maybe like 30 hours. Whereas Starfield is potentially a very long endeavour that I'd play on the side. So if I had to pick one to play first, it would be the shorter one. That allows me to eventually get to the other. If you choose Starfield first, you're never playing anything else again. If the underlying question there is which one of those two games am I more enthusiastic about, that's actually a very difficult question. Everybody else shall answer it for me. What are you looking forward to more, Starfield or Spider-Man 2? Starfield is the bigger event and the more, like, you know, it's the point that so long as it lands like we hope that it lands, will be played and talked about for a lot of years. But I do like a game like Spider-Man as well, something a bit lighter. I'm a Skyrim groupie. I'm not a Skyrim groupie, I'm a Skyrim legend. I may be a really low level and quite bad at it, but I've killed dragons and stuff and thrown them onto villages. Space Desert, it's not 4K, but it's OLED. The 1080p is still pretty fair to you for flat gaming. It's not terrible, but it's then you have to deal with, like, the sweet spot and things like that, which I know you said you got your head strap and it helps a lot with the sweet spot. That's fair enough. I'd still generally favour TV and use VR for VR. Again, though, if you're enjoying it, you're enjoying it. That's cool. Check out Dark Envoy if I'm looking for isometric RPGs. You tried it at Next Fest and it seems quite good. Is it a game that's already out? I may well do. I've still got... I'm not short of things to play because I've still got, like, Pillars of Eternity as well. I would like to play both of the Pillars of Eternity games before Avowed comes out. And those are not short either. Peter Moreland, Starfield, but then you don't have a PlayStation 5 anyway. Starfield for JJ. So you are worried that you won't like it. Why are you worried that you won't like it, JJ? Are you not a fan of, like, Bethesda's other works? Or Fallout in particular? I think Starfield will be... It'll feel more like Fallout than it will Skyrim. But TJI, after the Activision Blizzard deal goes through, what publisher can Microsoft get without regulators stopping it? CD Projekt Red. I think if that one goes through, I don't think anything will be stopped necessarily. Coffee. it will be difficult because the job of regulators is very much to apply the law. I think if Activision Blizzard goes through just fine, then that sets a pretty firm precedent that they can buy anyone until there's a real significant tipping point in numbers somewhere. There will be no legal case against it. So they could go and buy EA, or they could buy Take-Two, could buy whoever they want, because whatever arguments won over Activision Blizzard would still apply to anyone smaller until there was a big numerical shift in how the market looks. But we shall see. Serious glugging, yes, it's lukewarm coffee, Peter. It will help, because we're only like 3 games into my list of things that I've played. We've not even got to the topics yet, and I do have some topics. Beta Cypher, you really want Xbox to buy Sega? See, I have a lot of love for Sega of years past, and they have a long-standing relationship with Microsoft that would make sense to me if they were to... If they, like, their history is quite entwined. The Dreamcast used Microsoft's operating system and had Microsoft behind all of the online features for it. And when Sega went away, the Xbox was essentially like a continuation of everything that the Dreamcast attempted to pioneer. So it's a good fit. Then there's the fact that Sega are like a shadow of their former self in terms of how they handle their IPs and stuff. So I would like Xbox and Microsoft to do that. Of all the publishers, that's probably the only one that I would like to see go to Microsoft. I think for me, one takeaway from the last like year of watching all the Activision Blizzard stuff is just how untrustworthy Microsoft are. So I don't know, they're good for short-term wins on Game Pass, but I don't trust them with the whole future of gaming. So if they buy Sega, I'm all for that. That's a good fit. I'm not sure there's many more that I would want them to get, especially not anybody that makes virtual reality games. They can keep their damn hands off of them. Konami don't count, because who the hell are they, right? Tony, none of these corporations are trustworthy at all. I don't trust any one of them to like be the custodians of the future of gaming. Absolutely not. JJ, you'd like CD Projekt Red to get bought by Xbox. Why? They've got plenty of money as is. I know they've had some issues with Cyberpunk and some mismanagement going on, but even Cyberpunk sold like crazy. They're a studio that grew too fast. I'm not sure being part of a bigger organization isn't necessarily what they need, but emulation forever, our friend. Well, what else have I played? Let's whiz through these then, because I still want more from you, by the way. Capcom would be cool, but you just want Power Stone 3. I love the Power Stone games. 1 and 2 were so different, and both were really good in their own right. Closest thing outside of those to like matching that style of play for me was Kung Fu Chaos from Ninja Theory on the Xbox. That was fun too, but I don't think that one's backward compatible, so no chance to play it now unless you got an original Xbox. Take-Two will be too far out of it, to be honest. No, I think, like I say, if they're allowed to get Activision Blizzard for 70 billion, then like Take-Two is probably half of that. And I don't know, same arguments apply, right? So we'll see. It's interesting. You're not a believer that Microsoft are perfect, but what did they do that made me find them completely untrustworthy? There's a lot of the back and forth in what they say publicly has been like, if you go back to when they acquired ZeniMax and Bethesda, and they told us for a year that they couldn't talk about their plans for the games that Bethesda owned until the acquisition had passed. And there had been like no example of that being true in any other acquisition where you couldn't talk about your plans for exclusivity. And there have been very big, obvious examples since that transaction that prove that they could have spoken about it if they wanted to. I find them quite manipulative in the way that they rally people, like all the way through. And this is not an Activision Blizzard conversation. I refuse to drop into that little rabbit hole. But the whole way through this acquisition process, they've put a real concerted effort into manipulating like fans on Twitter and stuff to fight their battles for them. And it's weird. And I don't know, like I'm repulsed by it. I'm repulsed by their websites. I'm not reaching. I'm just saying, like, Microsoft as an entity. Do you trust them? Like, so hypothetically, if you could get rid of like Sony and Nintendo, and you had to pick one company to basically hold down the fort and be the custodians of gaming and decide what the future of gaming looks like, would you want it to be Microsoft? Would you want it to be Sony? Would you want it to be Nintendo? I wouldn't want it to be any of them. I wouldn't want it to be any of them. I don't trust any of them, and nobody should trust any of them. You just don't want it to be Tencent. No, you don't want it to be Tencent either. No, Jordan, they're not our friends. They're not. And all of them will eventually forsake us for the sake of bigger money. This is why I don't trust anyone more so. Like I think Phil Spencer's fairly genuine in that he actually plays and likes games and understands what they are. But I don't think his bosses do. And I think if you say, like, hey, Satya Nadella, there's like 100 million fans of Xbox and they really want XYZ, but there's 1 billion fans playing on mobile and they'd rather we took a different direction, then Microsoft will be all over that different direction. So, and that's not just Microsoft. Obviously, that'll be the same for any company because that's what they do. That's what they exist for. In terms of Activision Blizzard King, I'm fine for that one to go through. Like, there's an obvious pro in the short term. I'll get games on Game Pass. I would like Diablo 4 to be on Game Pass because I'd like to play it with my wife and my 2 children, and I don't really want to buy 4 copies of it. So it would be great if that went to Game Pass. It would also be great if Activision Blizzard games could potentially come to virtual reality, and that is obviously an avenue that gets cut off if the acquisition goes through. So for me, like, there's pros and cons either way, and I don't massively care. Why can't Microsoft just be more like Sony? What an outrageous thing to say. What do you mean? Sony have a sordid past and their own misdemeanors. But they do, like, Sony get a lot of credit with me at the moment because they are supporting virtual reality against all odds. So I'll take that. And then there's Nintendo. Nintendo, I credit them for being stuck in the past. I hope they stay in the past. So if Microsoft and Sony chase down a future that I don't like, I can look over at Nintendo and say, hey, Breath of the Wild, still 70 quid. But you're the best I've got. Sony have been crooks for decades. Yes, they have. Tony, I like that Nintendo try things. I'm glad they tried VR first. I don't hate everything about Nintendo. I don't really like the Switch, and I don't like Mario. Microsoft are too large to be efficient at anything. Yeah, efficiency is always going to be a challenge. I do wonder, there's this, like, everybody knows this story of how Microsoft were all set and ready to like spin off the Xbox division and get rid of it entirely, and Phil Spencer went to Satya Nadella and had a conversation and convinced him to go all in on Xbox, as they say. And I do wonder what future Phil promised him. Like, what are Microsoft all in on? Because it's not me playing Halo, that's for sure. I wonder what picture Phil has painted of the future and what direction Microsoft are actually trying to get. Who knows? Trust no one. Please trust no one. Apart from me, you can trust me. And Patrick. Patrick proved his integrity earlier in the show. Michipu, welcome. You're for going physical. You don't trust Sony or Nintendo with your digital purchases. See, we've had conversations on this show before and in other places about the preservation discussion, and I respect people that care for it, that want access to their old games. That makes a lot of sense. But I'm lazy. I will happily run around on a treadmill playing games and sweating my ass off, but I don't want to walk over and change discs because, and this is a result of observation of my own behaviors, if I have discs, I just don't play those games. Whereas if they're available through a menu, then I do play them. I'm way more likely to flick between games digitally than I am to change discs, which sounds awful. It sounds really lazy, and I'm not generally that much of a lazy person, but convenience factor. Neil B, it has been a while. You missed hearing my knowledgeable content. I don't know about that, but thanks. You can't scratch digital no, and you can't guarantee access to your physical games for any length of time either. Not just because of scratches, but because like your Xbox console requires an online activation. They can take it away. Lazy? What are you talking about? Who are you calling lazy? Boomer Benz, you've double dipped for digital games that you own on disc. You're part of the problem. I don't know, that's not a problem. The last game that I bought on disc was Rise Son of Rome. It's back in those days, you can go to sleep, it's fine. Back in those days, I had a really terrible internet connection. It was like 0.5 megabits per second, because that's how internet speeds work, isn't it? 0.5 megabits per second. It would have taken me about 3 days to download a game. So when I bought the Xbox One, which I bought on the first day that it came out, because I was really excited by Kinect and Smart Glass, I bought Rise Son of Rome on disc because I wanted a game to play when I got it home. And I didn't want to wait 3 days for a download. So I got Rise Son of Rome, I stuck it in there, I downloaded Crimson Dragon on the side while I played Rise Son of Rome. And I've not bought a physical game since. Dig space in the home is free for the what? What? I'm very confused. Only downside that you can see in digital is no resale value. There's digital and there's digital. There's the whole always online requirements change things up, and it was kind of one of the topics that I've got going forwards. So I'll park it for a minute and we'll get there. I need to whiz through this because it's like an hour into the show. So let's go, because I'm still on what I've been playing. I played One Punch Man. One Punch Man is like a brilliant little mockery of anime. I love the series, both series of it. If you watch any kind of anime, then you should definitely watch One Punch Man because it's fun. The game is less fun. And I've not got much more to say about that. It follows the same kind of trend as many of these anime to gaming conversions, as it were, in that it tries to do more than you'd expect it to do. It's not like it's not, the combat mechanisms are fairly basic, but the structure of the game isn't so much. It tries to give you a world and side quests and stuff like that, but it kind of half-asses them. It's very scrappy. There's a lot of mess telling you where to go and what to do, and I won't be playing that one. Mob Psycho 100, I've not watched Beta Cypher, but it is now at the top of my list. As long as it's short. How many episodes of Mob Psycho 100 exist? I can't be getting into any 500 episode animes. It's nice knowing if the internet dies, you can still play the broken day one patch version of some games. Yeah, some games. Many games. Space Citizen, I know you've got your PlayStation, and they quite often do have a game on the disc, but it's quite rare. Like, often discs are just a key in, a big download. Short episode length with 3 seasons. Yeah, I can probably get to that. Michipoo, if the internet dies permanently, you may have bigger worries. Not at all. I mean, I'd have to leave my chair rather than buy everything from Amazon, but apart from that, it's fine. One Piece is the show. No, Tony, I'm not completely naive. I'm not that gullible. Right, I've also played... Oh, here's a weird one. Has anybody played Guilty Gear Strive? Because that came out on Game Pass in the last couple of weeks. And that is weird. It's an Arc Systems Works fighting game. But it has the most unusual story mode that I've ever seen in a game. Has anyone tried it? So, spoilers, but not spoilers. The story mode in Guilty Gear Strive is a fighting game. Story mode is completely non-interactive. It's like a 20-episode anime. And it plays out in chapters that are like 20 minutes long each or something like that. It's bizarre. I've never seen that in a game. Like, dress itself up as a show. And you got things like Quantum Break that try and weave a show into it. But you literally go, story mode. Put controller down. Sit and watch it forever. What a weird approach. Arc System is top of fighting mechanics, period. Well... Patrick's going. Patrick, It's going. Everyone say bye to Patrick. Arc System Works do make good fighting games, and Guilty Gear Strive is a good fighting game. I'm not likely to get into it and play it much, but it's a good fighting game mechanically, and the presentation when you actually go into fighting, really, it's cool. It's a nice game, but it's modes wise, it's very much, or it seems to be very much encouraging you to get into the online competitive play, which is fair enough. If you want a fighting game, that's, for some people, that'll be the biggest draw of the fighting game. But the modes available, if that's not what you're after, you've got story mode, which is literally an anime, you sit and watch it, and then you've got arcade, which is weird. It's weird. It's not even the weird one. I can't remember what it's called, but you've got a mode that has a mission structure, but it is the most heavy fighting tutorial that I've come across. Because you go into it and you go through an actual tutorial where it tells you how to move left and how to move right and press punch or whatever. But then you go into the actual structure of the game. You go into the missions. Oh, I'm going to bring up a trailer for it while I talk about it. And the missions are like, you go to a certain area of the map and it will have 15 missions that you have to complete. First one of those missions is like double tap forwards and press X to strike a retreating enemy. And then you have to do that 5 times to pass the mission. Which is like, okay, that's very basic. And then the second one is like, double tap backwards to dodge an opponent's attack. And you have to do that 5 times to get through the mission. And it ramps up and it ramps up and it ramps up in the way that the tutorial is structured. I didn't play it for very long because I got hella bored of that. But it keeps ramping up until eventually it gets into like real in-depth mechanics of how a fighting game works, or how this particular fighting game works. So if you want to learn how to play fighting games and you've got the patience to go through a very in-depth tutorial system, Guilty Gear Strive will get you there. Play through its campaign, it will tell you how to play. They've got too many trailers. I'm on the Arc System Works channel and there's too much. Aha, this one's written in Japanese. This has to be the right one. No. Guilty Gear Strive. Yes. Yes, it's doing things. This is not an ideal trailer. Anyway, will I ever have guests on this live stream? TJ, I have had guests once, but we also have today, for the first time ever, potential open Discord invitation. Mr. Handy is tonight's guest. Yes, so around Christmas I had JT on as a guest. It's not something I typically do, but it is something I can do from time to time. I am willing to experiment and see what format works. But I'm guided by the people, and when we had this discussion, people mostly wanted the show to carry on as it is. So we'll see. I think at the time I decided that I'll just mix it up. So some weeks I might have a guest, and some weeks I won't. Luap Nitsua, welcome along. I am not an AI bot. Sounds like the tutorial of Aragami 2. I've not played Aragami, but it's probably, yeah, like in-depth excessive tutorials can definitely put you off of a game. What is going on? This isn't a trailer of Guilty Gear Strive. Whatever, I'm leaving it there for a minute. So, TJI and anybody else that came after the intro of the show, what we have at the moment is a Discord channel. So the Game On Daily Discord server, Isla has linked in chat again there. If you go into that Discord server, you should see a channel category thing on the left called Q&A. So if you stick yourself in the waiting room, then I can drag you in for a conversation on here. And I haven't set it up yet, but in theory there should be a timer. It should just give you like 60 seconds or 2 minutes or something like that to just come in and ask a question or say your piece or whatever you want. So you can get involved if you want to. You can fire up your camera, or you can just stick to voice. I don't mind, but it's there as an option. If anyone is thinking they really want to get on and say something or ask a particular question or just be part of the show, opportunity is there. Just jump on the Discord and we can do that. And what do we chat about? Well, that depends. That's up to whoever's coming in to bring the question or topic that they want to talk about. So that's Guilty Gear Strive. No, Guilty Gear Strive, don't do that. You'll give away Phew, it didn't. I thought it was going to give... Oh, it did. No. Never mind. Ignore that for a moment. Tutorial is the mind killer. It can be Space Denizen. A game with a bad tutorial, it can be enough to throw you off completely. Almost as much as a game with too many end-user license agreements and privacy agreements. Oh my god. All these games that I'm playing, I've got a long list of games, and I've spent as long scrolling through privacy agreements as I have actually playing things. Scroll. Yes, except nobody is reading this. Take it off the damn thing. This is a terrible onboarding experience for every game. I don't know, like, where the legal requirement is to show these, but they need to find ways to either make it entertaining or bypass it completely. Tony, if you want to come on and give Gaz a piece of your mind, Gaz is not here, but you can do so. Someone will make sure it gets to him. Resident Evil 4. That's a game. That comes out tomorrow, I believe, the actual game. One of many zombie games coming out this week. Top of the list obviously being Walking Dead Saints and Sinners 2. Must play game. But Resident Evil 4, who's played the demo? And what did you think of it? You're having a glass of that coffee as well. I'm not on coffee anymore, I'm afraid, Pizza. I'm back over to the breakfast wine. Artificial sentient anthropoid. It's not. It is just a regular name, but if anybody else asks, and I do get asked quite frequently what it's short for or what it stands for, it might be that for now. Neil B, you've played it. It's awesome. Beta Sophie, you waited. You wanted to wait for the game to come out to play it. See, that's what I normally do. Normally when there's a demo or a beta or anything along those lines, unless I'm really on the fence about whether I want to buy it or not. Like if it's a game where I know that I'm going to play this, I will avoid betas and demos because they don't add anything to the game. It's better to just wait and enjoy it in full when it comes out for me. But sometimes when you have to talk about these things, you have to inconvenience yourself. So I inconvenienced myself and played the Resident Evil 4 demo. Is anthropoid a real word? Doesn't matter if it's a real word. Circa this, you played about 3 hours. It's like a 10-20 minute demo, isn't it? You've just been like rerunning it over and over again. It's weird that the combat is fun. That's my kind of question about Resident Evil 4. I know that the series in general has kind of bounced between horror and action. But was the original Resident Evil 4 like silly like this one is? It looks stunning. Combat's great fun. You haven't played the demo. Space Denizen waiting for the official VR mode. Do you reckon the official VR mode is going to be the whole game in VR, or do you reckon it's going to be a tacked on weirdness? Because playing it, playing the demo of it, it's not going to translate into VR in the same way that 2, 3, 7 and 8 translate into VR. Because the combat's weird. Leon goes around parrying anything with a knife in a way that wouldn't make all that much sense in VR unless they stick to the third person perspective for it. Or just like tweak the game quite a lot to make it work. Luat Nitsua, Resident Evil has never been your type of games, although you enjoyed the PSVR 1 game. So I played really old Resident Evils up to Code Veronica. And then didn't touch pretty much any horror games for many, many years until I started streaming a couple of years ago, and it turns out that horror games are quite good for that. So I went back and played 2 Remake and 3 Remake, and I'm slowly working my way through 7 in virtual reality, which has made the other games less interesting now because VR horror, that's a thing. That is a thing that's quite terrible. But that's what I'm doing at the moment. I'm doing some VR horror. Resident Evil 4, there's 2 reasons that I'm not certain what the PlayStation VR 2 content is and whether it's worth waiting for. One of them is that the combat is quite action heavy. So it's all parries and kicks and silliness. So it won't necessarily translate very smoothly into virtual reality. But the other one is that Resident Evil 4 was remade into virtual reality for Meta, for Oculus, for Facebook, for the Quest. And I don't know what their contract is. Like, I don't know whether it's okay for Sony and Capcom to do a full remake of Resident Evil 4 in virtual reality for a different platform, or if there's something preventing that from happening in a contract somewhere. Because, you know, if it was Sony that did it first, their contract would restrict other platforms from being able to. But they did make it first-person Resident Evil for Quest. Yes, Space Citizen, that's what I'm talking about. I haven't got very far in it. It's very, very impressive from what I have seen, but that's only the opening sequence. I've never played the original Resident Evil 4 either, so I don't know if it included like the action system that the remake has, or if that's entirely new. Someone might be able to tell me. I'm sure somebody here has played the original Resident Evil 4 and can tell me whether you could parry everything with a knife. It's strange though, because the parry, it's got the most generous parry system that I've come across. Possibly the if you play like the Star Wars, whatever it was, Cal Kestis game on a nice easy difficulty, then the parry windows were quite generous. But the parry window in Resident Evil in the demo is like you get about 6 minutes to parry. Like something's attacking you with a chainsaw or an axe or a pitchfork or whatever, and you have like a 6-minute window to press counter or parry. It's a bit strange. Very, very generous parry system that doesn't necessarily jive too well with the horror theme of it to me, but I'm sure as you go on it gets a bit more scary. If they can hit a rock solid 60 in the Pancake game, you expect the VR mode to be the full game. It's not so much technical capability, John Rocks, that I'm thinking of. Performance-wise, from what we've already seen of like the PSVR 2, I'm very optimistic about what they can do in terms of Pancake to virtual reality conversions. I think there will be an awful lot of games that do make that transition very well. It's more the gameplay, like the specifics of the combat. The way that you parry and the way that the camera shifts so that Leon can do his little spin kicks, or so that zombies can grab you from behind and things like that. Those won't translate directly to a first-person virtual reality experience. So they either need to rework a lot of the combat, or they need to keep it third person. And I'm not sure what's in the pipeline. TJI, Xbox and Phil has talked over the years about the real competitors being Apple and Google. You always thought this was rubbish. Can we now say this predication was false? TJI, what we can say is that a lot of things that they've said, I've always, like in the past, I've always said that Phil Spencer has a silver tongue in that he's always said the right things to the right audiences, which isn't necessarily to say that he's a stinky liar. He was just very, very good at PR. And he always said things that worked to everybody that was going to have access to those words. And what has been his undoing is that he couldn't see the future. So his silver tongue has been very, very effective whenever used, but his words haven't necessarily stood the test of time in a lot of cases, and that's one of them. Like, only recently, like, they came out very publicly saying that the whole deal wasn't about Call of Duty, but they absolutely won't not buy Call of Duty. Like, of course it's about it. So, I don't know. I think in their big picture long-term plan, yeah, Apple and Google and Amazon are their big competitors. But clearly they do still care about PlayStation and the console space as well. Capcom been killing it. They've earned a little faith, but you always wait for a review. Yeah, user reviews more so. I don't trust many reviewers. There are a few that I do. Like Jeremy Penter, ACG is very trustworthy. There's a couple of websites that I do like, but there are also many that I don't trust as far as I can throw them. And they are not tangible objects that can be thrown, so that means no trust whatsoever. You say this, when they get VR right, horror games may become a real pants-soiling experience. The tech just isn't there. Glue Up Nitsua, what virtual reality stuff have you played? Because I find many things in VR feckin' terrifying. Do I trust Game On Daily? We don't do reviews. And if we did, it would be on stuff that we had bought rather than stuff that... Since they stopped sponsoring me. Did they stop sponsoring me? I thought they sponsored me today. Didn't Game On Daily sponsor this show? I'm sure they did. Anyway, Anyway, no, virtual reality horror is pretty scary. Pretty scary. Pretty scary. What, Luep Nitsua, so I gather you're not a big fan of virtual reality. What do you think the technology needs to do to be like there, as far as you're concerned, to be worthwhile? You don't remember seeing it? Nah, we did. We did a quick sponsorship earlier. And the other game that I've played, because too many games, really need to get past this and get onto the topic. So Exoprimal, that was a thing, that was messy. Did anybody play the Exoprimal beta last weekend? I'm not going to give you my thoughts on that because I've already been over it a little bit. And I want to move on. But if anybody else has played Exoprimal, I would very much like to hear what you have to say about it. Isla, could you kindly pop up the Q&A box if you haven't already, so that people can drop their questions in if they want to. So, do I want the Q&A thing up? Yes, I do. Only Resident Evil 7 on the first PlayStation VR and that roller coaster shooter. So, virtual reality has come a long, long way since the first PlayStation VR. Like, that was a horrible experience, and now you get good experiences. You don't, like, I'm not a salesperson. I'm not trying to convince you to buy virtual reality. There are things about it that may make it not there for you. Like, you may not enjoy it, and that's fair enough. But it is a very big difference between now and the first PlayStation VR. What's next? Nobody's played Exoprimal apart from me. It's weird. So Exoprimal has a lot of dinosaurs and a lot of action and a very weird game mode. It may just be for the sake of the open beta. They only enabled, they called it War Games, I think. And in Exoprimal's War Games, you get in a team of 5. It's got Overwatch-style character roles, and that you have tanks, damage, and support. And you got a few different characters within each class, and you can freely switch them mid-game if you want to. So you can start off as one of the tank characters, you can swap to a different tank, or you can become a support, or you can become damage, and see what works with your team and mix it up as you play. But the War Games mode is strange. So it starts off, the two teams go into almost racing each other as ghosts. So you go into the same level kind of structure world, but you can't interact with each other. It's you don't even see each other until certain events take place, and it's a race. So it says, oh, go and kill some raptors, and you follow a little yellow line and you kill the raptors that spawn as a team. And then when you've killed your objective, it will tell you whether you're ahead of your opponents or behind, and it will show you a little ghost of what they were doing. When I played it, my team was always ahead, so I think it was giving us a live projection of what the other team was doing at that moment in time. And then it's like, go and kill some more raptors, go and kill a different dinosaur, go and kill something else, go and kill something else, go and kill something else. And it does let you, throughout that little process, at some point during the game, much like I can't remember what the Destiny mode is called, but there's a mode where you can control a monster and try and sabotage the other team. In Exoprimal, it will have a little phase where each team can take a big T-Rex and stomp around in the other team's game to try and ruin things. So you go through that, sabotage each other a little bit, but generally don't interact with the other team, just racing to the end. And then when you get to the end of it, and the combat itself against the dinosaurs is it's pretty basic and not all that interesting, didn't hold my attention for very long, but you get to the end of it, and then it puts you into a more direct competitive mode where it sticks you on the same map with the objective of collecting some power source or chips or batteries, I can't remember what. And it's a race to see who can collect 100 of them first, and they spawn on the maps at certain intervals around lots of dinosaurs. So if you win the race, you get to go into that map ahead of the other team by a little bit while you wait for them to catch up. You collect some of the chips, but the thing that makes it kind of tug-of-war-y is that by killing the other team, you can take the chips that they've already collected. So the way that it played out for me was we got into the arena thing quite a ways ahead of the other team, started killing dinosaurs and collecting chips. They spawned into the map and tried to attack us, and we blasted them. Had a good time killing them because they were quite disorganized. And then at some point, when we were about 40-0 up in the race to get to 100, one of the players from the other team dropped out. And that was the turning point for the whole game. Because when one of their players dropped out, it put an AI control, it put a bot in there, and the bot played one of the tank characters, and seemed to be pretty much freaking immortal. And from that point onwards, the other team just slaughtered us and took all of our chips and won the game. But ignoring the fact that the bot was like wildly unbalanced, I didn't go in for a second game, and I don't intend to go in for a second game because the mechanic, like the racing and the tug of war at the end, it took about 20 minutes all in all, and it wasn't very much fun. Like, the game is impressive in terms of its performance and the amount of stuff that it's throwing around. The classes and the mechs that you can control seem pretty interesting, and it's quite fun to play. But the structure of the one game mode that they had on display was just like, yeah, don't really feel that. Don't want to play it anymore. So very much depends what they add to that in terms of whether that game will be worth playing on release. But it's coming to Game Pass, and that's a good thing too. I think it would probably tank horribly if it wasn't coming to Game Pass, but it is coming to Game Pass, so come June or whatever, we can all give it a try. Look, Mitsua, virtual reality isn't for you, but you still respect my opinion. The technology has great potential for the future. That's fair enough. I can understand when people say that they're waiting for like wireless, or they're waiting for someone to figure out locomotion in a way that doesn't make people sick and all the rest of it. There are some reasons not to jump in at this point in time, but personally I do love it, and we'll keep playing as much VR as I can. I've got so many VR games that I need to play, including Saints and Sinners 2 that just came out. I loved Saints and Sinners. Can't wait to play Saints and Sinners 2, but I do have to wait until payday, then I can afford it. Who's playing the Diablo beta this weekend? Did anybody play the Diablo beta last weekend? Let's talk about battle passes and Diablo 4. And Diablo 4 and battle passes. As two separate topics that overlap very much so. Mitchy Poo, you wonder if there'll be more game modes at launch. There has to be more game modes at launch. Like, presentation-wise, it looks like there's supposed to be more game modes at launch, and they're just not there for the testing. So I think there will be more. What's going to tank, Tony? VR maze game with knives to kill other players and stay alive. You can do that in Pavlov, I'm sure. You might, if it's open, you really want to try Diablo 4. So this weekend, I'm not sure what time, but it starts tomorrow. It starts on the 24th. You can play Diablo 4 open beta on any of the platforms, PlayStation, Xbox and PC. It's like a 96 gigabyte download or something on the Xbox, I think. So I'm going to try and download it overnight and give it a go. But I am concerned by the Battle Pass. JJ, Battle Passes don't bother you if it's a free-to-play game and avoids pay-to-win. But what if it's not a free-to-play game? What if it's Diablo 4? One of the biggest games coming out this year. Then what? Then what if it has a battle pass that's purely cosmetic and doesn't make you any more powerful, but it is a battle pass and it is Activision, so it probably doesn't get you any content? Space Denizen, I have not played Subnautica, and to be honest, I'm probably too scared to play Subnautica. The Deep Sea, the scariest pancake game that I've ever played is Echo the Dolphin, because the sea is a freaking scary place. Subnautica is virtual reality in the sea. It is too scary for me. I'm also not sure. I don't think it... Maybe it does now, but I think at the point that I was looking at it in VR, it didn't support motion controllers either. It's quite an old conversion, that one. There might be mods that make it better now. But you would have to pay me to play Subnautica in virtual reality. You're scared of the sea? Everyone is scared of the sea. Everyone that played Echo the Dolphin is scared of the sea. Or should be, because it's terrifying. Beta Cypher, yikes, because it can easily be done very poorly, like the current Season 4 of Battlefield 2042. The Battle Pass for a paid game like that is really good for all that you can get/earn. So Battle Pass is, like, it very much ties in with obviously the microtransaction conversation and the games as a service conversation, and I always say on that one, I hate them very, very much, but not necessarily strictly all the time. I hate them because they're usually so greedy and cynical, and just like play on manipulating people into playing more often and spending more money at all times in a way that just sucks the fun out of a game. But I understand and do like and very much appreciate live service games in general as a concept. So if there is a game that is supposed to last and I'm going to want to play it for like 10 years and it wants to monetize using either microtransactions or a battle pass or some combination of those, because that's their fairest way to deliver more content, I'm not necessarily against it. So you give me, are there any good examples? Fortnite's not a great example because I don't like Fortnite, but Fortnite has battle passes and it has microtransactions. It has bad practices in there as well in terms of its daily quests and easy click buy-in that they got in so much trouble for because children were able to accidentally purchase things. It has bad things in Fortnite, but they deliver an awful lot of content that you don't have to pay for, and they subsidize it or monetize it, fund that content through all of their microtransactions and battle passes, and that isn't necessarily terrible. Right? Yeah, they need to make money if they're going to keep delivering content, right? The problem that I have is, multiple problems. One is when the battle pass is nasty because it either includes like level up faster kind of consumables or actual pay to win kind of things in there. And the other one is when it doesn't actually get you that content, when it's an extra. And this is what I'm worried about with Diablo 4, because I really liked Diablo 3 and I really want to like Diablo 4, but I really dislike Activision and I really dislike the way that they've monetized World of Warcraft and pretty much everything that they touch. They're a greedy, nasty company. This is like, again, completely irrespective of whether Microsoft buy them or not. Activision as a standalone company are nasty, and Activision / Vivendi buying Blizzard is like the worst acquisition that has happened pretty much ever. Very, very sad, because I don't like them. But Diablo, knowing that I don't trust Blizzard in the way that I don't trust Blizzard, has a battle pass. And the big question that I have around it that I don't have an answer to is, Diablo 3 didn't have battle passes. You paid for Diablo 3 as a game, and they released a significant expansion pack. They released their Necromancer content, like the whole class and all the rest of it, that you went and paid for. And that's okay. That's a reasonable model. I'm okay with release a game, then make more content and charge for more content. That's fair. But are the battle passes in Diablo 4 going to bring in that kind of content? Is it an alternative? Like, we're going to monetize through a battle pass so that we can deliver this new content to all of the players? Or more likely, because it's Activision, are they gonna double, triple, quadruple dip and take as much money as they can all the time? So you buy the game for 70 quid, you buy, in fact, the edition that it promotes on the Xbox storefront costs 100 quid and includes like 20 levels in the battle pass or some shit like that. Is it going to be the case where you buy Diablo and then you're kind of having your arm twisted to get into a battle pass, and then you're following daily challenges to make sure that you keep playing Diablo, and then when some more content actually arrives, you're supposed to pay for that as well? Then suddenly Diablo 4 has gone from being a game I'm excited about to fucking Activision, you've done it again, I hate you. That concerns me. Peter Morton, you played the Chainsaw demo a couple of days ago and realised you cannot handle horror games. But that's not scary, Peter. The Chainsaw demo is not scary. It might be difficult if you don't realise that all you're supposed to do is run away like a coward during the final scenes of that demo, and that killing is optional arcade fun. If you've gone through the Chainsaw demo and gone, oh, this is difficult, I'm not enjoying all of the dying, then that's different to like the horror genre not being for you, because horror's not necessarily like challenging to get through in general. Beta Cypher, honestly, after how Modern Warfare 2 and Overwatch 2 launched and have content, Diablo 4 might be fun. This is my concern. And obviously Diablo Immortal stands as like a shining example of evil as well, right? JJ, would Xbox reverse any nefarious plans like that? That is the question. If whoever it is, Mike Ybarra and Rod Ferguson, or whoever's working on Diablo, Activision get acquired, and they walk in and they talk to Phil and whoever else at Xbox and say, this is how we're planning to monetize Diablo 4. Is anyone from Xbox going to turn around and go, you greedy pricks, that's not how we do things around here, and make it better for people? Dunno. I mean, obviously adding it to Game Pass would definitely soften the blow in terms of price of entry. But I don't know what monetization looks for in Xbox's more distant future. Short term, I'm all for Game Pass, like giving me access to lots of games. Long term, I don't want the mobile gaming model to become prevalent across everything. Pixel Slapper, welcome along. Yeah, it does clash with Boxenberger's world of gaming. There's nothing I can do about that. There's always stuff on all the time, but thanks for stopping by after. It's all good. Space Desert, I'm really making you want to play Echo. You was a Nintendo kid. Echo the Dolphin, I have spoken about it, but not for quite a long time. So I'm going to tell you again. This is like a massive tangent from what Diablo is and what battle passes are. But Echo the Dolphin has a level in, like, I assume it's like the Antarctic or something. It's a frozen level. And as you're going through the water in it, these like crabs leap out of the ice and just attack you. And that's fine, but it's a very tense game because Echo's a dolphin, which means he needs oxygen. So everything that you're doing in Echo is like against the map and against time because you've got to find the next pocket of oxygen. So you've got to press forwards. But there are crabs hidden in the ice waiting to jump scare you at any moment. So you're pushing through this game. Bearing in mind I was like 6 at the time. You're pushing through this game about to wet yourself because the crabs are so scary. And then there's like it was like a blue whale, but you're a dolphin that's this big, and the blue whale, I'm like edge of my seat, terrified that crabs are going to jump out, and then there's a blue whale taking up way more than the screen, but I just approached its tail and nearly shit myself and died. Echo the Dolphin is a scary game. The ocean is a scary place. It's very, very tense, and I don't know if my fear of the ocean was caused by Echo the Dolphin or the other way around, if Echo the Dolphin was so scary because oceans are scary. But yes, horrible game. Don't recommend it. Beta Cypher, you don't condone console wars. Children do that, but you got to ask iPhone or Android. I'm not a fan of Apple as a company. Not necessarily a fan of Google as a company, so that's a weird thing to say. I'm not a fan of any of them. When I was saying earlier about not trusting Microsoft or Sony or Nintendo, it very, very much applies to Apple and Google. But Apple are more pretentious about it. So I'm not scared of the real ocean. I'm not scared of anything in real life. Behave yourself. You're so silly. God. Undermining my bravery. No, I'm not scared of anything. Yeah, no, I have an Android phone. I had an iPhone 4 maybe, like a million years ago. But generally, I'm not an Apple fan, and they'll need to do an awful lot of good work in the virtual reality space to redeem themselves in my eyes. Mitchy Poo, will I buy an Apple AR VR device? Now, I'm not closed off to the concept. If they do a lot of work in that space and it's good for games, virtual reality games in particular, then maybe I'll suddenly like Apple. And like, it's much the same with Sony. I'm not a fan of Sony, but yeah, I like what they're doing with virtual reality. So maybe I'll soften a little bit. Not if they charge $3,000 and all it does is put FaceTime on a virtual monitor in front of me. But if they do something right in the gaming space in virtual reality, then I can't begrudge them that. Beta Cypher, you don't like either company as well, but you used to have an iPhone and you currently use a Pixel 6. So obviously, phones-wise, the best ones were from Microsoft. The Windows phones were my favourites. I much preferred the interface on them. I have a Samsung phone now, which it's all right, but it's not as good as a Windows phone was. And I don't know, that's phones. Phones are phones. I literally never play games on phones, so they have no place in my show. If you recall correctly, the creator of Echo works with a CR studio now. Studio behind Jupiter and Mars. It's not a game you recommend, but you're excited to see what's next. What's a CR studio? Oh, a VR studio. Now I'm excited. I'll play Echo the Dolphin in VR. Oh, I will shit myself. Windows phones were the best. they had flaws. Like, I get that some apps and things were missing that people like, but I'm a very light user of phones. I don't play games. I don't do calculations. I don't write documents. I have phone calls, which I don't even answer the phone, so I don't even have that. I have text messages, maybe WhatsApp, and that's what a phone is to me. And the Windows Phone had a nicer interface to get around. That Nokia one with the crazy huge camera lens, like this kind of Nokia one. This isn't the crazy huge camera lens, actually. This is quite a subtle one, but this is a genuine Windows Phone that sits on my desk, cleverly propping up my monitor. My monitor is slightly wonky, so I use my Windows Phone as like a doorstop, just to keep it propped up in place. Yes, I liked those. Those were good. They look pretty even when they're off, but when they're on, I wonder if it still turns on. No, I mean, with some battery, it probably would. Sadly, it is horribly cracked. You can't really see it very clearly there, but it is horribly cracked. I've got another one in a drawer somewhere else. I had 2 Windows Phones. Someone is collaborating on an Abacus and a Windows Phone. Mighty Doom is quite fun. See, I'm probably not going to touch it. I've seen Mighty Doom and it looks reasonably entertaining, but I never play small screen games. There's never a scenario or situation where I have time to sit and look at a small screen and play games. If I have time to play games, it's usually when I'm at home and I've got either a big screen or a strapped to my face screen. Microsoft should buy BlackBerry and bring it back. I mean, they bought Nokia for like 7 billion or whatever and shut it down, so I don't think they've got much appetite to get back into it. Pixel Slappy, you're on a Nokia at the moment. What kind of Nokia? Nokia don't still make stuff. I know they do. I know the name survived in some capacity after they left Microsoft, but I actually have no idea what they make now. Beta Sophie, you really wish Microsoft would stop being a baby and make a new line of phones. Could even call them Surface phones to get off the old PR from Windows. You do get Surface phones, don't you? I don't think they came out in like many territories, but there is a Surface Duo phone and it runs on Android. And it's not even skinned well to look like the old Windows phones. I agree that they should have persisted in that market more so than they did, because they did actually have good phones. Like a good interface for them. Whereas Apple and Android copy each other a lot. And they did try. They made Windows phones compatible with like Android apps and really tried to encourage people to make them work. But they never got more than like 2% of the market or something like that. And eventually they gave up. You're 5'3" in your skin? I know that's not what you said, but... Microsoft should buy Morrison's. That lady pointed you the wrong way. Nathan Martin, welcome. Do HTC still make phones? I'm pretty sure HTC do still make phones. But HTC also make VR stuff, so I like them. HTC this week announced their new trackers that you can use for all sorts of things in virtual reality, but they've made sure that they keep their trackers open in the open open VR ecosystem, so you can use them with other headsets. And that's nice. I like it when companies do things that are like morally correct, rare as it is. Weirdly, Microsoft were actually on that path with virtual reality for a little while before they decided it was too much effort. But they were all in on the open ecosystem for a while. And HTC is still doing it. I've never had an HTC headset, but the fact that they seem to be genuinely quite nice about things, I might end up with one day. The mid-range Android market has been booming lately. Sorry, capitals, I had to read like that. Let's do the next topic. This is one of the main ones. This might be the only one, actually. I might skip the other topic or save it for next week. There's 2 more topics that I had planned, but I'm way overrunning, so I'm just going to do one of them while it's topical, because there's been a lot of talk about pro consoles, right? Like PlayStation 5 Pro was the latest leak because that shitty little website broke their exclusive. There might be a PlayStation 5 Pro. Somebody said there might be one. Good article, well done. Very valuable read. Good journalism. What do we think? Multiple questions coming from this one, despite it being a shit article that I don't recommend anybody goes and checks out. Firstly, do we think that there are going to be mid-gen upgrades from PlayStation and or Xbox? Secondly, if there were, so hypothetically, if there were mid-gen or any point during the generation upgrades, would you be more interested in a mid-gen upgrade like we had in the previous generation, where they aim for a similar price point, like a launch price point of like 400 quid or whatever, 400 monies, and just give you like a hardware refresh, so 3 years worth of hardware advancement to give you a more powerful console? Or would you be more interested in like a proper high-end console? So rather than doing a typical mid-gen refresh like we had last gen, saying, hey, here's your Xbox Series S and your Series X and your PlayStation 5, or you can spend twice as much money and get a proper high-end console. What do you think we might see, and what would you like to see from the mid-gen refresh? Concept, likelihood, reality, speculation, rumors, all the rest of it. Peter Morland, you couldn't give a monkeys. We haven't even got this one going yet. JJ, you're against it now. In 3 to 4 years' time, fair enough. Beta Cypher, you really hope that we don't get mid-gen refreshes. Pixel Slappies, analog headphones, curly wire included. Analog headphones are brilliant. Nobody should disparage using them. Wires aren't so bad in that scenario. Painful Discourse also against it, thinks it's stupid, we're in cross-gen. See, I used to, obviously, like, money aside, pretending money's not any kind of an issue, I used to say that consoles were good for kind of 3 years, and then they became woefully dated. And that was quite true of the Xbox 360 generation, where it was a really damn good console for like 3 years. And then it fell quite a long way behind PC hardware, and it just made sense to play in the PC area. And I thought, when Microsoft, and I'm pretty sure Microsoft thought it too, when Microsoft moved to their common architecture and they shifted generations from the Xbox One to the Xbox One X to the Xbox Series consoles, I think they moved away from the typical concept of what a generation is. So there's a lot less friction for Microsoft to release a more powerful console, because the way that their ecosystem works, they support a range of consoles anyway, and dropping a new one into the lineup isn't like a hard reset of a generation in the way that we had in the past. Because if you remember the 360 and the PlayStation 3 generation, that went on for freaking ages. That was like an 8-year generation, because both Microsoft and Sony became very aware that starting a new generation of consoles is very difficult. And you build up an audience of like 80 million to 120 million people, or whatever it will be. It was, in that case, it was about 80 million for each of them. And releasing a new console means starting again from zero. And neither company wanted to do that. So they delayed and delayed and delayed. And the PlayStation 3 and the Xbox 360 get really long in the tooth and really far behind where technology was. They lasted for 8 years. And both of those companies moved to common x86 architecture to avoid that being a problem in future, so that they could more smoothly transition between generations. But Microsoft did that better than Sony. Microsoft's architecture is more common, more scalable, much easier for them to move across. Sony are a lot more conservative in how they handle their consoles, which is not necessarily a bad thing, but it's just a different approach. So I figured Microsoft's intention, when they went from the Xbox One to the One X to the Series consoles, their intention was that they could release with a more frequent cadence than they had in the past. They could release a console after like 4 years, keep supporting the Xbox Series consoles quite happily, but also release a higher end and just let people keep up with technology if they wanted to. But we've had wars and viruses and economic downturns and all the rest of it. So my theory, and this is just speculation, my theory is that Microsoft were probably aiming for about 4 years of Series consoles before not stopping support for them, but before releasing something more powerful. And then we've had so much trouble. Their development pipeline has had so much delay that I don't think that's going to be the case anymore. But if you'd asked me at the start of it, if you'd asked me before the Xbox Series consoles came out, I would have said probably 4 years before Microsoft's next one. If you ask me today, I don't think that's the case. Sony, though, their approach never really gave off that vibe in the same way. Like the PlayStation 4 Pro was a weird upgrade and a quite shit upgrade. I wasn't a big fan of the PlayStation 4 Pro. So to see all these rumors that Sony could potentially release a PlayStation 5 Pro, I don't personally buy it at all. I can see them like having their hand forced. If Microsoft were to release a higher end console, then Sony might feel that they needed to compete in that space. But generally speaking, I don't think Sony have any intention of releasing a PlayStation 5 Pro. That's my theory. But if they did, and this was my problem with the PlayStation 4 Pro, is it was a really conservative upgrade. The PlayStation 4 Pro existed to take advantage of 4K TVs, right? That's the only reason that that particular console came about. Microsoft's story was a little more complicated because they had their competition with Sony to think about. But in Sony's case, a lot of people had 4K TVs and they wanted a console that could deliver the PlayStation 4 experience to those 4K TVs. And they were very, very conservative in how much they upgraded it and what it cost. And this is why I asked the question about what you would prefer. Would you prefer a console that targets the typical console launch price with like 2 or 3 years of advancements? Or would you prefer a really premium console? And in Sony's case, I would have much rather they had built out a proper PlayStation 4 Pro and charged more money for it, so that people that chase the high end could spend that money if they want to. That's up to them. Painful Discourse wants a PlayStation 5 Slim. Do you care that much? Do you have like a lack of space? I've never really cared for slim consoles. I don't like the PlayStation 5 visually, like big white mattress thing that it is. I've always been more of a fan of the discrete console, so a slim console would make sense in terms of being able to tuck it and get it out of the way. But I also don't very much care. Like, the look of the console is of minimal consequence to me. Then you've seen my room via the PlayStation VR 2, so you can see how messy I am and how little it matters. Yeah. Timper, welcome. They don't need to, but they may to get that extra $100. Peter Morland, you bought a 4K TV in readiness for your Series X, so you went through the whole of the previous generation on a 1080p, did you? Fair enough. JJ, as time goes on, PC looks more and more favourable, especially if PlayStation put games day one on PC. Best of both worlds at this point. PC, I would say PC was more appealing in the past. I have a PC and I very much do enjoy the PC like space and environment, but price-wise, PCs are mad at the moment. And they have been for a good couple of years. Or since before the Series X and the PlayStation 5 came out, the PC hardware pricing just went like madness. And it's largely Nvidia's fault, because they're not a nice company either. But aside from that, like, if money's no object, then yeah, PCs can be brilliant. So I've got a light flicking on and off, which is a little bit annoying. Don't know why it's doing that. Slim PlayStation always looks better than the launch fat. I've never had one. I've never had a slim console. I've never had a revision. I've still got an Xbox 360 that doesn't have an HDMI port. I've got a fat PlayStation 3. I had a fat, like a original model PlayStation 2. I'm like an early adopter, so I get them when they come out. And the revisions, unless they're like an Xbox One X or a PlayStation 4 Pro that dramatically changes things, then the revisions just aren't mine. No. The Series X is the Series S Pro, kind of Pixel Slapper. Obviously, we've got a different dynamic from Microsoft this time around. Like I say, Microsoft, I don't think, are on the same generational model as consoles used to be. I think they have wisely moved away from it, but there are a few other pieces that need to fall into place before they can really release new hardware. It would be a bit wild to do it now. JJ, comes to think of it, you've never had a Slim or a Pro model. So I did have a PlayStation 4 Pro, very noisy thing that was. And I did have an Xbox One X as well, which was a nice little console. A Series S with more RAM might make sense. Well, that would be... The problem with that, John Rocks, is it wouldn't free up developers to do anything different. Like, they could release a Series S with more RAM, but developers would still have to target the original model. They couldn't just stop supporting it. So more like SSD space to actually be able to keep some games on it, that would be easier. Yeah. They launched both. It's funny, Jason isn't stupid. The Series S still seems like a very wise move, very wise approach. Like I've said on other places and here, that I do think it is a good play from Microsoft. I'm not one of these people that's concerned it's going to hold back gaming or all those kind of nonsense conversations that go around. I think they did well with the Series S. Like, it's very cleverly designed in terms of where its power is and where the compromises are. Beta Sophie, you've always owned the Slim version of every PlayStation since the PlayStation 2 Slim, PlayStation 3 Slim. My voice is going. PlayStation 4 Slim. You're waiting for a PlayStation 5 Slim because the current console is just too big at the moment. It is an ugly console. Excuse me. So Beta Sophie, you just don't normally get into a console generation until like 2 or 3 years in, when they release a refined model and all the games are out and about. Sauron Grant, no need, just let the devs get on with their learning curves. So the need is the interesting question. It's like, what need would they be satisfying with new hardware at this point in time? Because the Xbox One X, well, the PlayStation 4 Pro is an easier example because they didn't have like an inadequacy complex like Microsoft did. But the PlayStation, they very specifically released the Pro to take advantage of a new display technology that was becoming quite widespread. So people had 4K TVs and they wanted to make use of it. There's not an equivalent of that at the moment. There's not like a technology advancement that the consoles are missing out on, or a big marketing flourish that they just can't check off. Because there is, like, you can get 8K TVs, but they're not really seeing widespread adoption. Nobody talks about 8K, nobody cares. And to actually get a console to perform at 8K would be an astronomical cost. It's not going to be within remotely the same ballpark of pricing as consoles usually sell for if you want to actually power 8K. So 8K is not a viable or practical or sensible reason to release a new console. The other advancement that people have eyes on is ray tracing, but very, very similarly, if you look at like the AMD hardware advancements in the last 2 years, they still can't do ray tracing worth a damn. So ray tracing is not a good reason to release a pro console either, because they're not going to be able to do it in a way that satisfies people any more so than the current consoles, really, or not at any reasonable price, because that technology doesn't exist. AMD don't have good ray tracing technology for a good price. So I don't personally see the pro consoles happening. I have no insider information and I don't pretend to. If they suddenly release one next year, then I'll say, oh, well, I was wrong about that, and we'll move on with the conversation. But for me, I don't see one happening. However, I would personally quite like to see like a ridiculous high-end model from either or both of them, so that you don't have to deal with the PC ecosystem. Because I like ray tracing and high frame rates and nice resolutions and maximum settings and all the rest of it, and I would like to have that in the console space, because I like the ease of console as well. So if they were to say, here's a ridiculously expensive premium super powerful console, but it costs a lot more than you're used to for a console, I don't think that would be commercially sensible. I don't think it would be successful for them, but I would be in favor of it because I like technology advancing and pushing forwards. So I'd say, cool, that's a neat thing you're making. I like that. That's for me. Still, I don't think that's happening either. Sauron Grant, your old eyes don't see the benefit of 4K, never mind 8K. Fair enough. Fair enough. Mine, see, I I don't mind a softer image is the thing. That's the main difference. Like I really, the first thing that I look at in terms of image quality is I hate defects. So jagged lines and shimmering and things that shouldn't be there. I notice those very quickly and can't help but notice those. But I don't particularly notice an image being a little bit softer. So things like I'm very keen on ray tracing as a technology because it makes everything look more natural and less defective. It's just a more real way of lighting a scene. And some people deride it and laugh at it for being too subtle, but I'll take subtle. If it gets rid of flickering and weird reflections and makes all the lighting more natural and the shadows cast where they should cast, then I'm a big fan of that. But yeah, I don't mind the image getting a little softer, which is why I prefer. So I was going to do a video. I didn't do a video, but I was looking at Forza Horizon 5 supports AMD's FSR technology. So the AMD's upscaling, and it supports NVIDIA's upscaling as well. Their DLS, whatever it is, DLSS, blah, blah, blah. You know, NVIDIA's AI-based upscaling. And I was comparing them on Forza Horizon 5, and NVIDIA's one gives a much crisper image than AMD's, but NVIDIA's one also introduces defects. So certain like power cables have a little white outline that's not supposed to be there, and some of the neon signs left a weird staggered glow when you drove past. And in that scenario, I preferred AMD's softer image because it didn't have defects over NVIDIA's sharper image that introduced defects. So resolution, and with you, Sauron Grant, it's not the most important factor in image quality for me. Clean, defect-free images with natural lighting, way better. Way better. JJ, be interesting if they did 4K 120 frames per second without needing PC faffing. Well, this is what I mean. I mean, resolution as a talking point is going to become less and less important over time anyway, as reconstruction and upscaling techniques get better and better. People won't be so worried about what the native resolution is. But typically, what you're saying there, the concept of like chasing the extreme high end without needing the faffing of a PC, I would like to see that exist for console people. Being able to just like get that high end experience without having to dick around with Windows would be lovely. Get glasses? No, Peter, my eyesight is fine. My eyesight is fine, just my preferences are no defects over and above lavish details. So I don't know, my voice is beginning to go because I've spoken too much. I'm very, very grateful that so many people have come to talk to me through the show. Some of you have been here for the whole thing from start to finish. Some of you have been and gone, and some of you have just arrived. But either way, it's very nice that you come talk to me about these things. So much, much appreciated. I did have another topic lined up that I'll save it for next week. It'll still be interesting next week. So that's all good. I'm going to play a load of games this week. I'm going to stream a load of games this week. I'm going to play a lot of virtual reality, I'm afraid, but also some pancake games. I'm going to play Diablo over the weekend. I think you should all like get that 90 gig download in and give it a go as well, because I want to know what you think of Diablo. Tony, you're always near me. Nobody turned up for Discord. That's the thing, though. Be aware of it for next week if you would like to do that. I did only set it up for like half an hour before going live today, but Discord is there as an option. So if people want to pop in and say hello and ask a question, I haven't done my questions yet. I was about to turn off the show without doing the formal questions that you've posted for me. Let's whiz through those. If anybody does last ditch want to jump into Discord and just say some words, then you're very welcome to. It's on the Game On Daily server, Q&A, sir, hit the waiting room, and we'll just pull you in and you can say what you want to say. But in the meantime, I'm going to do the questions that you submitted before ending up the show. So Peter Morland, you built a gaming PC in November, but you haven't really used it as you're still using the Series X for most stuff. Is that unusual? Are you stupid? What are you missing that you should play on PC that isn't on console? Virtual reality, Peter, get a VR headset. But no, what did you build your gaming PC for? What were you hoping to do with it when you built it? Things that are worth playing on PC over and above console. mean, strategy. If you've got time, Peter, try Total War on Game Pass or something like that. I'm saying this because I wish that, there you go, JJ said it as well. I'm saying it because I wish that I played more Total War. It's a genre that's there, that's not really available on console in any capacity, and even if it was, wouldn't necessarily work. But you could sink 1,000,000 years into Total War, and Total War Warhammer is on Game Pass. There might even be some other Total War games, but Total War Warhammer 3 is the one I want to play. Isla is still there, apparently. Good. Sorry, Isla, I know you want to go to sleep. We'll be wrapped up soon. Nobody has guessed the OST. Nobody will guess the OST. It's almost impossible. And that's the way it's supposed to be. Yeah, Peter, that's my recommendation. Try some strategy games. You can try, like, I don't know what else. Just do Total War. Or some of the 4X games if you prefer that. You could do... I don't know, you'll figure it out. Or just keep playing your console. Like, no, there's nothing stupid about that. I like the console experience sometimes too. Total War Medieval had some good expansions. Yep. Bloody spell check. Right. Let's say I think that answers that. Peter, he's going to try Total War. I will warn you, Total War Warhammer is a very big download. It's like 100 and something gigabytes. But I do think it's really good and worth doing. Neil B, Ocular versus PSVR 2. Which is the best in your opinion? Neil B, there is a video in the works that covers just that topic. I will answer it anyway and spoil the video. It depends on whether you're talking about standalone Oculus or PC VR Oculus. So that changes the equation completely. If you're wondering which one you should buy between the two, it entirely depends on whether you've got a gaming PC or a PlayStation 5. PC VR, you can shoot higher end, you can play wirelessly, you can use a treadmill if you want, you can mod your games, you can do all the kind of PC experience kinds of things. PlayStation VR 2 is very, very good virtual reality. It is the console experience virtual reality. You stick your headset on, you launch a game and you play it and they work. So they're both brilliant. Whereas standalone virtual reality, so if you talk about Oculus Quest as a native device, it's very much the low end of virtual reality. Cheapest price point to access it by a long shot, but you get what you pay for. It's not nearly as good as playing console or PC virtual reality. That is the short answer. But the video will be more entertaining, so watch the video when it's ready. Peter, you might play Starfield on PC, fair enough. You can even play it with a controller if you want. Next question. Neil, what are you thinking of? Are you thinking of getting into some kind of virtual reality? Oh, Tony. Tony said the forbidden words. Right. Once Xbox buys ABK, how long till we see games on Game Pass? Well, Tony, immediately should be the answer. It depends how much work they want to put in on the PC side to make sure they get it day and date with console. So there might be a delay because the whole like all of Activision Blizzard's games are on Battle.net rather than on the Windows Store. So there'll be a little bit of back-end working to do to get them across. The real question that everybody should be asking around there is will it be there in time for Diablo, or should you pay money for Diablo? I don't know. I've got nothing for you, Tony. I hope. Space Denizen, as someone who owns all three as well, it's difficult to answer. There's too much mix of pros and cons. Good. Space Denizen, you get many points for being someone that can recognize there are pros and cons of every avenue. So many people just like this is a horrible thing that I've noticed this week, is there are virtual reality fanboys arguing with each other about what kind of like headsets are or aren't worth it, and who hates who and who's whatever else. It's very sad. There are definitely pros and cons to all of them, and overall every option is awesome. So Did I do a Tony question? Tony asked me about Activision Blizzard King and when their games will go on Game Pass. I don't know the answer. I would be very happy if they go on Game Pass in time for Diablo 4's launch. That's all I can say. Space Denizen, exactly. They're all great. They're all great. And I do, like I say, I've got a video coming on it, so that'll cover it off. That's fine. Do we have any idea when the Game Pass family plan is coming to the UK? I wish I did. I wish I did. It's been... I thought it would be like sooner. I thought it would be here by now. It was sent out in its like preview phase to Ireland and one other country, like Poland or Croatia, something like that. And it was like all the wording around it. If you looked at the options to buy it on their stores, it was all very final. Like this was a polished, released, not going anywhere product released in those regions. But we still don't have it in the UK. You still don't have it in America or Canada or France or Germany or anywhere really. So that's a shame. And hopefully soon, Sauron Grant. I have a family. At the moment, I pay for 2 Game Pass Ultimate subscriptions. My children don't even bloody use it. They play Roblox and Minecraft exclusively, pretty much. But I feel bad taking it away. So yes, family plan soon, hopefully. Painful Discourse is the OST What Remains of Edith Finch. No, it's not. Nice try, but no. You will not guess it. Nobody will guess it. There has... I'm not going to say what I was going to say. Right. Tony, how much storage is enough storage? Is Apex X21 enough? What is Apex X21? You're going to have to tell me more. Is that like a 4 terabyte drive or a 21 terabyte drive? I have like 6 different drives in my PC at the moment and they're all full. You can always fill storage. You will always be able to fill storage. There is no upper limit on how much storage you will fill. But when you hit that upper limit, you'll start uninstalling things and deleting things. That is the way of the world and will remain so for a long time yet. Is it VR? No, it's not VR. The OST is not VR. Painful Discourse, you must give up. It is an impossible one. Impossible. Next question. Is it Golf with Friends? It is not Golf with Friends. Walkabout Mini Golf is the golf game that you need to play. Golf with Friends can be silly fun, but Walkabout Mini Golf is brilliant. Play that instead. Get some VR. Play that. Is that the last question? Have we run out? Why is my light turning on and off? That's outrageous. Fortunately, I've got like 17 other lights, so it's not too bad. Sauron Grant, if CMA block, might not get it. You have 3 grandkids and a son-in-law. Bought them all a Series S. Need a family plan instead of game share. That's the other thing. So Microsoft's like Game Pass family plan is brilliant, but it would also be very nice if they had better family sharing for things that you buy. That would be like Google Stadia had it. Stadia's dead now, so I can't hold it up and say, you need to match what Stadia are doing. But Stadia, if you bought a game on there, you could share it with 5 accounts. And that's how it should be. Like, you can share a physical game as many times as you like. Relax the digital licensing a little bit. Let me buy Diablo 4 and play it with my family that live in the house with me. That's only right. I shouldn't have to buy 4 copies of Diablo, or I shouldn't have to buy 2 copies and try and use dodgy like home console sharing methods to play that game with people. So hopefully family sharing plans and all the rest of it get better over time. You can buy like non-gaming apps on Windows and put them on 10 devices for 10 people. So that's the licensing that Microsoft should shoot for their games as well. And I know they have some issues with third-party publishers that may or may not want to play ball. But ultimately, Microsoft do have enough power to make those publishers play ball if they really wanted to. Sensible sharing would be great. It would. When you game share, you can't play games offline. Yes, Neil, the whole setting a home console thing is not even like officially supported as a sharing mechanism. That's not the idea of it. It's like a grey area that they're not going to stop you doing. but they're also not officially going to tell you that you should be doing. Proper, official, defined family sharing should be a thing. Tony, you have 21 M2 solid state drives. Like, you just wear them as a vest or whatever and plug into any PC you want. I like it. Do it, Tony. Our Apex story says that when equipped with fast SSDs, an X21 will be able to offer sequential read speeds of up to 30.5 gigabytes per second, as well as sequential write. To what, Tony? What interface can read and write at that speed? Because PCI 4 can't, I don't think. But that's speed anyway. Speed is different to storage space. Oh, you said right after. Speeds up to 28.5 fully saturates PCIe 4, leaving behind all SSDs available today. But fully saturating PCIe 4 is a bad idea because you also want your graphics card to be able to use that bandwidth. So, I don't know. That's too nerdy, Tony. Too nerdy. This is a game show. Hunter, you hope in the future Xbox has a pro console that almost keeps up with PC for gamers who don't mind paying more, and the standard powerful console a la Series X. Yes, Punty, that, like, I can understand that it's not a commercially smart idea. Is it not? I don't know. There's an audience for it, and there are definitely people that will pay through the nose to get the best experience without the hassle of a PC. I would like to see that as the pro line of consoles. But it's a delicate situation because a lot of people have like the normal console that like to think they've got the best of the best anyway. So they would have to market it carefully, but I would like to see it. But it wasn't a question, so I can't answer it. Next question. Not a good... Tony, how much money do you have? Because that should be what defines whether your ridiculous Apex thing is a good idea or not. Is that the last question? Are there any more? Nobody has jumped into Discord, so I can't experiment with that feature. But I mean, it could be that you just don't want to come on, and that's like not a problem. But if anybody does want to jump in and talk, you can do so right now, or you can do it next week, or whatever else. You don't need to be on camera. You can just join Discord and use your voice. But it's just a novel little thing, so you can come in and talk if you want to. There if you want it, but you don't have to. Pixel Slapper, market it carefully. Anyone want to buy a watch? Yeah. Maybe if I'd warned you. There was no warning available because I only just set it up. It's going to be great though. Like, it's a nice feature, I think. Next week, I will try and mention it in the run up to the show so that people know that it's a thing and can prepare themselves with questions and things to say and like hair gel or whatever. I don't know. I think we've run out of the questions as well. So what I'm going to do today then is call it a night. Thank everybody very much for coming and talking and all the rest of it. I am gonna... I've got such a list of games I want to play. I want to play Saints and Sinners 2. I want to play Switchback. I want to play Resident Evil 4. I want to play Diablo. I want to play Dragon Age Inquisition and Deerfield Chronicles and shooting games. I've got my gun stock. I want to use my gun stock for some Pavlov and Contractors. So can I do all of that in the next 7 days? No, I bloody can't. We'll get here in a week's time and I'll say, oh, I didn't have time to play anything. I did a couple of games of Halo. No, I'm going to play some of them. I'm going to stream them. It's going to be great. Wrap this fun speculation is about to start. Yeah, go on over. Give Mav some attention and support as well. And have some fun over there. What is the OST? Secrets, Tony. I have to leave it there because people might watch the show after the fact and they might want to leave it in the comments. If that's you, you are a new celebrity if you've managed to get the OST. I will be sure to mention you in the future, but do leave comments and things. Do like and share the stream and all the stuff that helps an idiot like me. I will appreciate it. For now, though, I'm going to say good night, everyone, apart from Boba Fett Gaming, who's probably just approaching lunchtime. Enjoy your lunch or your sleep or your evening. It's definitely not Halo. Good night.